Okay, so we have left off with all 6 of our track pieces cut out. The next step we're going to do is we're going to prepare all of these pieces before we start building it together. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start with is the 2 support pieces. Okay, so the support pieces are these 2 pieces on the paper roller coaster. They're what provides strength for the coaster, they're what holds up the track, and they're what provides the energy for the roller coaster to move. So for my 5th graders, you might remember this last year, we called this the gravitational potential energy. It's when we lift something high up, we create energy in it, potential energy, that then the marble uses as it moves down through the coaster, okay? So ours has a gravitational potential energy of about 1 foot high. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold these into these 2 pillars. So the way I want you to do this, and this might be a little tricky at first, so let's persevere in this, is I want you to fold them along the 4 dashed lines on each of the tracks. And what you want to do then is start with the first one, gently bend it in the middle of that first dashed line along the center of it. Then gradually push down and push your finger along it to bend it or crease it. Push down, crease, push down, crease until you reach the end of that track. Then go ahead and do it on the other side. Bend down, crease, bend down, crease, bend down, and crease. Okay? What you'll end up is with a crease along the entire length of that dashed line. On the science website, I have posted up-close pictures of each of these steps so that if you want to confirm that yours looks the way it should, I know that it's harder to see in a distant video, go ahead and double check that you're doing it and that you're on the right track, okay? Once you have the first one creased, you can go ahead and let that open back up and then move to the next dashed line, okay? Start in the middle, bend it, and then crease it, bend and crease, all the way to the outside of the track, okay? Once you've gotten to one side, start in the middle again and move out in the other direction, bending and creasing, okay? Now I've done 2 of my dashed lines. Okay, I'm going to go to my 3rd line, starting once again in the middle, working my way out along that dashed line to the middle, sorry, to the edges, and then moving to the other side once I reach the end, right? I've now made 3 creases, and I'm going to go to the final dashed line, starting once again in the middle, okay? This might take you a little longer at first. I've made several of them now, so I might be quicker than you at it. So feel free to pause the video if you need to try and catch up with me. Okay, I have now creased and folded it along all 4 of the dashed lines on one of my supports. What I want to do now is I want to roll it into kind of a rectangular prism, right? So a 3-dimensional shape. There are 5 sides. 2 of those sides are going to overlap. That gives us a nice solid way for the sides to attach to one another. So it should have a square appearance on the end of it. What you're going to need to do is then take some of your tape and you want to kind of wrap it around that tube to seal the open side shut. You can do this maybe about 4 times along the length of it. You don't need a piece of tape along the whole side. That would be wasteful. So just 4 pieces down along the side until you sealed the entire thing up like this. Okay, so you can see that this is a new support. Mine is a bit longer because we haven't quite finished yet. Okay, once you've done one of them, go ahead and do the 2nd support. Okay, starting in the middle and creasing all the way out to the outer edges. Okay, fold along one, open it back up, and do it along the 2nd dashed line. Okay, so go ahead and let's work on that together. I know that at first this can be a little bit challenging, but once you figure out a good technique for getting the creases, you'll be on your way. I do want to say that this roller coaster model is forgiving, okay? So it doesn't have to be perfect in order for yours to come out working and looking good. So I don't want you to get too caught up in how perfect each step is. Okay, I've now folded mine along all 4 sides. I'm once again going to create that rectangular prism structure by putting a few pieces of tape along the length of it. Okay, so now I have both of my supports made right here. If you look closely, mine is taller because I have not yet opened up the bottoms. Because if we were to try to put this on a surface, they wouldn't really stand up, right? They're just gonna fall over. Okay, what we wanna do is create the bottom to be sort of a web-like structure so that it will hold on to the surface better. If you look carefully along the bottoms, one end has about 1 inch of black solid line. So what you wanna do is take your scissors and cut up that 1 inch along all 4 corners at the bottom, like this, okay? What that allows us to do is splay out those 4 pieces like this, and it's going to give something for the support structure to be held onto. So it creates sort of a diamond or a cross type shape, okay? So go ahead and do that on both sides. I'm sorry, on both supports. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, go ahead and splay those out like that. All right, so I have 2 supports. They are both ready to go. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the 2 hill loops. All right, so on our hill loop pieces, there are 2 long dashed lines. We are going to crease those just like we did with the support ones, starting in the middle of each of the dashed lines and pushing and creasing your way to the outside edges. Okay, so fold on one side, flip it over, and fold the other side up. When you have finished folding those sides up, you should create sort of a U-like track for the hill. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the other hill the same way. A little off there. And fold it up on the other side to create a U-shaped track. Now, these aren't going to serve as very good U. So like I said, this single track is not long enough to reach from the top of the support down to the bottom. These 2 tracks, though, are able to nest inside one another, and it allows us to adjust the length so that we can get the perfect length track for our hill. But given how this is formed, this is not bendable or pliable, right? So this isn't going to make a very good hill for us. So what we're going to do is we are now going to cut carefully along all those little tiny black lines along the side. So they're each a little bit less than 1 inch. Just take your scissors and snip just to the dashed line on both sides of the hill tracks. Okay. Okay, I've done one, and I'm going to go over to my other one. You may recognize that having 2 hill tracks is a little too long for our roller coaster. What we will do is once we start assembling all the pieces together, we can trim off part of the hill so it's exactly the right length. But we don't want to do that until we have actually got all the pieces in place, because we don't want to cut it too short before we get it up there. Okay, once you have all your pieces, your 2 hill pieces snipped like that, you can see that now this track is much more pliable. So it's going to allow us to curve and bend it to the shape of the hill that we want, okay? And we are still able to nest it inside the other one like this, all right? So go ahead and put those 2 pieces aside. And we're gonna move on to the hill loop piece again, but this is going to be our loop. We're gonna make a 360-degree loop out of one of your pieces. Okay, so go ahead. Once again, we're gonna start by bending it along the dashed lines, like this, on each side, just the same way we did with the hill pieces. Okay, you're gonna make yourself a nice U track. This is going to hold the marble down the center of it. Once again, I am going to snip it along those solid black lines on either side of the bottom of the track, just to the dashed lines. Okay, once you have done that, you'll see that this track is also very pliable now. If you gently turn it, you can actually turn it into a complete circle, okay? We'll do that a little bit later. What we're gonna do first is do our final track, which is the curve piece. This is the last piece which our marble rolls out of. It also has 2 dashed lines, so go ahead and start in the middle again and crease your curve piece of the track to create that U structure again. Okay, just like that. I have my nice U structure again. This time though, when you're gonna cut, you're going to cut all the way through the bottom of the track. This is going to, while cutting it on either side allows it to be bent this way, if we cut it all the way in, we're gonna be able to curve it this way, right? So go ahead and make a snip, about 1.5 inches long this time, all the way, 2 inches maybe, all the way over to the far dashed line. Okay, just like this. So you can see now that my track can be bent from side to side. We're going to bend it this direction, but it can be folded inward and outward. All right, you should now have all of your 6 tracks prepared and ready to go. I'm going to stop the video here. This is a good stopping point if you want to take a little break or come back to it at a later time.